Cop stumped when bear refuses to move, looks closer and realizes he has to act fast. He waited silently. He saw the creature making its way back and forth again and again. What was it doing? What did it want? Then, he jumped from his car. There it was, stomping back and forth on the road. They were gigantic animals, but at night, they blend in with perfect camouflage, and during the day, they make their presence all too obvious. But as he approached closer, something seemed off. He immediately knew he had to act fast. That day, traffic was growing by the minute, and the highway became chaos. State Trooper Thomas Owens was stuck in this back-to-back traffic when car horns started blaring when people were losing their nerves. He knew something was the matter, so he approached closer. But as he did, he noticed a dark figure hiding in the bushes. When he was a little kid, he loved everything there was to love about cars. He was obsessed with high-speed chases he would see on the news and always hoped for a glimpse of one when he put on the TV. Some of these chases ended in tragedy, but most of them ended with justice. Law enforcement always managed to catch the criminals right in time, restoring peace and safety. But Thomas's mother always was worried about his delight for such high-speed vandals. When it came time for Thomas to get his license, he was overly excited. On his 16th birthday he passed his driving test, and his mom practically had to pry away the set of keys from his hands. She couldn't stand the thought of her son becoming a dangerous driver. Thomas was a young boy, but in no way was he irresponsible. "It's a small town, Thomas. If we get one sniff of you being reckless, you can say goodbye to the truck," his mother warned him. Thomas knew what kind of dangerous were lurking out on the road, but he never would have expected someone else to be a victim to them. Thomas loved driving around his neighborhood and would even offer to pick his friends up from school and drop them off at their homes. He always made sure he stayed safe, and he did. But one day, as he got home, he didn't see his mother's car in the driveway. Shivers immediately went up and down his spine. Panic set all over him. As he made several calls, he learned the truth. His mother was in the hospital and had been involved in a hit and run. He couldn't believe how someone could be so reckless, and this really touched home for him. That incident made a huge impact on his life in more ways than one. Soon he would know what to do with his bright future. When his high school was over, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. All of his friends were enlisting in colleges in state and out of state, but he knew that he wanted to stay right there. He shared his plan to become a state trooper, and his family and friends were not at all surprised by his decision. With the years, and after his mother's accident, he knew all too well what dangerous driving really looked like and left it behind him. Still, he had no idea one day he would encounter something on the road that he was not prepared for. He had become an exemplary officer, but even with those years under his belt, Thomas had never encountered something like that he did that day. As he gripped the wheel in traffic, he had no idea what was going on up ahead. Still, he knew something had to be the matter. Thomas's first instinct was to think someone might have had a breakdown or a little fender bender up ahead, and that was what was causing the delays. But then he got closer, and what he saw would be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The figure on the road was enormous. He instantly realized that this was a dangerous bear. Still, people were getting out of their car to investigate what was going on, and Thomas couldn't do anything but to instruct them to get back in. Bretton Woods, where Thomas had grown up and resided, spans across 700 acres of land. The land is home to 200 species of birds alone, so it's no surprise that the land became a protected wilderness. But Thomas was about to encounter the biggest animal in the woods right there in front of him. Sightings of these black bears were common in the area, but they usually didn't bother anyone and stayed to themselves. These animals are very dangerous, and everyone in the community knew that. Still, with all of Thomas's extensive training, nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to face. State troopers were trained when it came to dangerous animals, but still, meeting with one face-to-face can be extremely nerve-wracking. In the middle of the road, stopping traffic and walking along, was an enormous black bear. What on earth was it doing there? Bears usually hide in the woods and keep to themselves. But this enormous black bear was pacing across the road, turning it into chaos. Thomas yelled for everyone to stay put, but still, he couldn't put his finger on something. Why was this bear out here? Thomas got out of his car and started to approach the bear. Commuters now had been instructed to stay in their cars where they were safe, but Thomas was not. He was on foot, walking towards one of the biggest wild animals out there. It seemed like the bear was not going to go anywhere. It was still there, pacing back and forth. Thomas instructed everyone to turn their cars around and go back the way they came. They needed to give this bear space. Still, Thomas had no idea what the problem with the bear was. Cars turned around, and that is when Thomas decided to take a closer look. He mustered all his courage up and began to take more and more steps closer, and that's when he saw it and knew that this bear had no fear for humans because she had something a lot more critical she needed to protect. Thomas took a closer look and saw the big black bear had some followers of her own. 4 cubs walked along the road, 3 of which were right by the mama's side. One little cub had sat down to rest. The little bears were very young, they wobbled as they walked, but still, they could do it on their own. The little bear that sat in the middle of the road resting didn't seem to have enough energy to keep going. That is when Mama Bear did something unexpected. He had never seen a bear with 3 cubs, let alone 4. But the mama bear was not going to let her baby be left on the road, or that is what Thomas thought. He could see how the mama of the stranded cub walked up to it and nudged it with her nose, as if showing it the way. Still, he wasn't having any of it. He was not moving. Minutes went by and the mama bear tried to show the little bear the way. Something was wrong. The little bear wouldn't get back on his feet, and that is when the mama bear knew she had to make a tough decision. She left him behind. Thomas couldn't believe what he had just witnessed, but as soon as the mama bear was out of sight, he knew he had to help the poor little cub. When the mama bear had disappeared, Thomas ran to the cub's side and tried to help it move. It wouldn't, and it was becoming worse by the minute. His eyes were droopy as if it was extremely tired or worse, very sick. Thomas knew he had to save this incredible creature, so he picked it up and rushed back to his squad car. On the way to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Center, Thomas couldn't help but think of what he had witnessed. Why would she abandon her baby on the road like that? On the way to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Center, Thomas couldn't help but think of what he had witnessed. Why would she abandon her baby on the road like that? Thomas later discovered the logic behind the mother bear's decision to abandon her sick cub. If she had stayed with the sick cub, she would have put the rest of the litter in danger. Even though that didn't justify why she abandoned her cub, it did make sense. She didn't want to put her other babies in danger. Thomas's rescue spread across the town, but then, officials gave Thomas shocking information. This baby was not the only one who had been abandoned. The other officers had seen that mama bear before, and there weren't 4 cubs by her side but 5. Thomas knew exactly what he had to do. Thomas knew he had to search for the other cub, so he talked to the officers and was met by more state troopers, accompanied with multiple K-9 units. They needed to find the poor cub, and with luck, it wasn't long before they managed to locate it, not far from its mother's crossing location. They found the 5th cub in poor condition, but as they arrived at the vet, the experts knew exactly what to do. Still, one question lingered in their mind: what were they to do once the cubs were healthy? They couldn't bottle feed forever. Thankfully, the little cubs made a speedy recovery, and their carers put it down to their constant company. Most rescued animals take time to recover due to stress and isolation, but these two had each other. The center intends to reunite the cubs with their mother once they are strong enough, if it can be possible. And of course, there's one person who has kept a keen eye on their progress every day. Thomas never expected to encounter such a rare scene while he served, or even ever in his life. It's a strange sight to see 4 cubs together, and it is even stranger to rescue 1 cub, let alone 2. If it wasn't for his quick thinking, the 2 cubs may not have made it. Thomas has become dedicated to protecting all the citizens of Carroll, New Hampshire, but he has made sure to include all residents in his efforts, including those who walk on 4 legs. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing Wonder Stories.